Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. Today's flow is all about flexibility for front splits. The video is a little longer, about 45 minutes, but we will be stretching each side, both the left and right splits. I would recommend you warm up slightly before beginning this flow. You could use a simple warm-up yoga flow, either one of my videos, or do your own practice. Your own workout, maybe if you go for a run or work out in a gym, could work fine as a warm-up as long as your body is nice, warm, and ready to go and get stretching. Let's go ahead and begin finding a comfortable seated position. I'm sitting on my heels, but totally cool if you sit cross-legged. Begin by bringing attention to breath and body, releasing tension from the shoulders, and allowing yourself to tune in. Taking a deep breath in. Now on the next exhale, rounding your back towards the back of the room, dropping your gaze down towards your knees. Inhale and open the chest towards the front of the room. And exhale, pressing back. Open up. And press back. Go ahead and flow through a few more of these at your own pace. Breathing deeply in and out through your nose, preparing your body for all the good work to come. Bringing yourself to all fours, beginning to rock forward and back. Bringing knees a little wider than hip distance, so you're pressing back almost into a child's pose. Leaning forward and pressing back. Really moving with intention here, pressing into the hips, making every movement, every stretch count. Go ahead and hold at the top of the motion and bump your right hip out, and then your left. Right and left at your own pace. A bit of a wiggle outside to side. You can speed it up if that feels good. A couple more, then press the left hip over to the left. As you continue those forward and back motions, keep pressing to the left here. Forward and back. And to the right, continue that forward and back. Gently returning to center, pressing over to the left, to the back, to the right, and to the front. Drawing a big circle here. One more time around. Left, back, right, front, and begin to smooth out that motion, drawing a big circle with your hips counterclockwise. Pausing at the top, bumping the right hip to the right, to the back, to the left, and to the front. One more time, right, back, left, front, smoothing out the motion. Take those big circles. And gently returning to all fours, bringing knees right under the hips and wrists right under the shoulders. Pressing to the left. And to the right. Coming right back to center. Extending the left leg back, pressing into the heel for a big calf stretch. Tuck the right toes and send your hips a little higher, dropping down and pressing up. Dropping down and pressing up. Dropping down, pressing up. One more time, drop and press back. Gently bring the right knee down. Drop the left knee and bring it all the way through for a low lunge stretch. Extending the leg long, sinking into that hamstring. Making some little movements here if that feels good, bending into the knee and extending long. Bending and straightening. As you bend forward, see if you can feel it in your right hip flexor. So you bend forward into the lunge and extend back. Hip flexor stretch and hamstring stretch. Hip flexors, hamstrings. Nice. Hold in the hamstring stretch and allow yourself to sink down, breathing deeply. With every exhale, sink a little deeper into the hamstrings. Bending into the front knee, coming into the hip flexor stretch, bringing hands to hips, squaring them off towards the front of the room as you sink a little lower. If this bothers your knee at all, feel free to roll up the mat beneath your bottom knee. It's also a great idea to wear knee pads while you're stretching splits. Might sound silly, but I love it. Making some little movements here, picking up that knee to really get into the hip flexor. Dropping down and lifting up. This time we'll hold for 10 seconds. Three, 2, 1. Drop down. One more time. Lift up and hold. 3, 2, 1. Dropping that back knee. Exhale as you send the hips back. And inhale forward. Exhale back. And forward. Taking these rocking motions forward and back, breathing your way through it. Moving at your own pace here. If you like to hold one position a little longer, feel free to do so. This is your own practice. I'm just here to lead you. This movement alone is one of the best tricks for getting your front splits. So if you get one thing from this video, do this. Next time you're in the forward position, go ahead and hold there. Bringing hands to the top of the knee, sitting up tall. Bringing hands above head, opening through the chest. Exhale, hands down to either side, reversing the stretch. Deep breath in. Do exhale, sink a little deeper. Inhale, lifts your chest. Exhale, bends into the front knee. Walking hands to the inside of the foot and toe heeling the left foot slightly more out to the left. Coming into lizard pose here, taking some little wiggles out left to right, lifting the back knee and setting it down. Lifting and lowering. Lifting and lowering. Lifting and lowering. Lift, lower, holding here. If it feels alright to lower onto your elbows, go for it. Seeing how much length you can maintain through your spine as you reach towards the ground. Opening up the chest, pulling the shoulder blades back and down along the spine as much as possible. Lifting the back knee and setting it down. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Feel free to take a few more if you like, or hold here, either in the lifted or lowered position. If you came to your elbows, go ahead and press back to your palms. Toe heel that foot back to the midline of your body. Rock forward and back a few times. Next time you're in the forward position, holding there, tucking the back toe and stepping it in so your feet are about 3 feet apart. For pyramid pose, the back foot will be slightly pointed out to the right for more stability. Rocking a little forward and back, feeling where your hips are square right in the center. Planting the right hand and reaching the left hand around for the small of your back. Now as you move forward and back, you'll be able to feel where your hips are the most level, and that's probably where you feel the most stretch. So see if you can stay there. Returning both hands to center, keeping that same alignment in the legs and hips. Exhale, folding forward. Lunging the right leg back, bending deeply into the left leg and extending both legs straight. Bending and straightening. Bending and straightening. Taking a few more here. Working more into hip flexors and hamstrings. Holding down, dropping the back knee, toe heeling the left foot over to the right, setting up for pigeon pose. Engaging the inner thighs, pulling them in towards one another. As you exhale, allow your body to sink a little lower. Sitting up tall, finding length through the spine. Taking a little twist over to the left. And to the right. Option to bend into the back knee. If you can reach for the ankle or the toe, pulling that leg a little closer. If it's available to you to find a bind here, that's an option. For the bind, hooking the toe on the inside of the right elbow, reaching the left arm over your head, bind at the hands. I'm showing you some options for stretching in the video here. If you square your hips towards the front of the room, reaching back with the opposite hand, or the same side hand, whatever feels more natural to you to bring yourself into a king pigeon. Reaching one hand or both hands back for the back foot. It's a major quad and hip flexor stretch here. Releasing hands towards the ground. Lifting up, bending into the front knee. Take a few rocks forward and back till you sit up tall. Sitting up tall so that the hips come more directly over the back knee. Reaching back for the back foot with either one hand or both hands, or even using a strap here. Pulling the heel a little closer towards the hip. Taking the right foot in the left hand, reaching opposite hand towards the mat, lunging forward, super deep hip flexor and quad stretch here. Exhale and reverse. Keeping the bind with the foot to hand and coming forward. Reverse. Lunge forward, breathing deeply. Holding here for 3, 2, 1. Gently releasing out, releasing that back foot. Lunge forward and back. Tucking the back toe, moving through pyramid pose to forward fold. Holding at opposite elbows or allowing your hands to drape towards the mat, shaking out side to side and taking this time to notice the difference between the legs. You should feel significantly more flexible on your left side or your left hamstring right now. So we'll begin to work on our right side. Bending and straightening through the legs if that feels good. Sending hips towards the mat and pressing them up, lengthening through the legs. We'll begin to work on the opposite side. Coming to all fours, rocking forward and back, side to side a few times before you extend your right leg back, pressing into the heel. Tucking the left toes, sending hips high and dropping the knee. Sending it high and dropping down. Taking a few more of these, really warming up into the right hamstring. Dropping the left knee, bringing the right foot through to a lunge. And exhale, straightening out, reversing the stretch. Holding here, sinking a little deeper. Lunging forward and sending the hips back. Lunging forward and back. Go ahead and take a few more of these. Really moving slowly, taking your time. Trying your best to be patient with yourself as we move on to the other side. A lot of times it can be easy to stretch out one side of your body and get carried away there, but then to do the same and make yourself even on the other is the challenge. So here we are, breathing into that hamstring stretch. And lunging forward. Sitting up nice and tall, opening the chest, lengthening through the spine. Really pressing into that left hip flexor. Bringing hands to the top of the knee, holding here. And hands reach above head. Lifting that back knee. And setting it down. Lifting the back knee. And setting it down. One more time. Inhale, lift up. Hold here. 3, 2, and 1. Dropping the back knee. Shake it out, moving forward and back. Next time you're back, go ahead and hold there. Lunge forward, bringing hands to the inside of the knee, toe heeling the right foot out wide. Lifting and lowering that back knee. Lifting and lowering. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Holding here. If you moved onto your elbows on the left side, do so on this right side. Taking those movements, lifting the knee and lowering the knee. Option to continue taking these or hold one of the positions, whatever you did on the other side. If you're on your elbows, go ahead and walk back to your palms, toe heeling the foot back to the midline. And exhale, reversing the stretch. Lunging forward and pressing back. Forward and back. Taking a few more of these. Eventually tucking the back toe, sending the hips high, walking the back foot in a little bit for a pyramid, rocking the hips forward and back. Putting the left hand, reaching the right hand up and finding the small of the back. And then finding where the hips are most level and where the deepest stretch is here. Returning the right hand to the floor. And folding over that front leg. Lunging the left foot back, bending and straightening into that front knee. Go ahead and move at your own pace with your own breath here. Go ahead and lower the back knee to the ground, toe heeling the front foot over for pigeon, engaging the inner thighs and towards one another, sitting up tall. Taking a little twist to the right. And through center to the left. Option to reach for the back foot, bending and extending it. An option for the bind here if that's available to you. Continue to stretch your pigeon how you like, preferably the same way you did on the other side. I'll continue to show some variations in the video if you'd like to follow along or get some ideas. If you worked on king pigeon with your hips square on the other side, go ahead and do so on this side. If you had your king pigeon, go ahead and release the back leg towards the floor. Pressing palms into the ground. Finding your low lunge once again. Pressing hips forward and back a few times. Walk the right foot a little closer towards your body. Sitting up nice and tall, and drawing the left heel towards your hip, taking one hand or both hands around the foot or the ankle for a big quad stretch. Releasing the left hand to the floor and lunging forward. And pressing hips back. Lunging forward and back. Taking a few more of these. Forward and back. This time holding there a little longer, maybe lowering onto your elbow. Gently releasing the back foot and shaking out forward and back, rocking out. Eventually stepping both feet up to the top of your mat for a forward fold. Shaking side to side, allowing your hands to hold opposite elbows or melt down towards the floor. Feeling the evenness, hopefully, in your hamstrings now. Bringing your feet a little bit wider, bending into one knee and then the other. Lengthening through the spine and pulling your chest a little closer towards your thighs. Lifting and folding. Lifting and folding. Hold here, take one more. Toe heeling feet together, dropping hips towards heels, rounding through the back, drawing chin to chest. And looking up, dropping the hips back behind you. So a bit of a fancy quad stretch here, coming onto the balls of your feet. Pressing into your quads over to the left side. And to the right. Pressing to the left and right. Left and right. Wiggle out a little bit, hold in the center. Eventually dropping knees down onto the mat. Coming into hero's pose. So option here to prop your hips up on a block or a pillow so you're sitting a little bit higher. But the goal is to have your feet on either side of your body, so sitting down in between your heels. If it's available to you to lower onto your elbows, do so, or to lower all the way onto your back. Taking your time here, breathing deeply. If you're not feeling much, try squeezing your glutes and pressing your hips up a little higher. See if that helps you feel something in this stretch. Slowly coming out of the stretch. And we'll begin to work on our actual splits. Yay, our body's warmed up enough that we can begin. Taking some little hip circles, just on your knees. Switching directions. We'll start out stretching our left leg. Coming into that low lunge again. Bringing hands to the mat, beginning our rocking motion forward and back, our favorite motion for front splits. And slowly toe heeling the front foot out forward every time you move. This is my favorite technique for lowering into front splits. Continue to stretch the leg out a little further and a little further to find your edge. Eventually, the hips may come to the floor. Consistency is the most important thing with flexibility in general, especially with stretching splits. The more often you do it, the closer you will be to your splits and the faster it will come. So continue to stretch. I will continue to show variations on camera here. Finding your edge. Seeing how much you can square your hips towards the front of the room. Slowly bringing yourself out of that left split. And we'll go ahead and try again. This time I'll be showing you how to stretch splits with a block under the hip. Totally optional. You can even stack 3 blocks on top of one another if that works for you. So with the block, I am setting my left hip on the block, but allowing room for the right hip to square itself. So the block is only under my left thigh or my left hip. Gently releasing. Circle out the hips again if you need. It's time to move on to the right side. Taking whatever variation you did on the left. I will show it 2 times as well on the right. So feel free to follow along or practice on your own. And when I say square the hips, when the right leg is forward and the left leg is back, as we're practicing now, squaring the hips would mean pulling the right hip back, pushing the left hip a little forward. A lot of times it's a tendency to open the hips towards the side of the room, but with front splits, we want everything square to the front, as if the right leg was shooting straight out in front of you and the left leg straight up back, trying not to open up to the side. So go ahead and come out of your current stretch and begin to lower into it once again. In the video, I am showing you how I stretch over splits using a block under the front foot. If you are within a couple inches, I'd say 2 to 3 inches from the floor, over splits can be a great way to get yourself all the way flat to the floor. I'll go ahead and show over split on the other side. As always, continue to move, take breaks whenever you need. Stretching is a very slow process, almost forces you to tune into your body, tune into your breath, and focus on the action at hand. Stretching can become very meditational for a lot of people. Option to bend into the back knee, reach for the back foot in a split for extra oomph in the quad. Feel free to pause the video and work a little more on your splits if you like. Otherwise, go ahead and find some hip circles, walking feet up to forward fold, taking a fold. Eventually dropping the hips and lowering all the way to your back. Pulling knees to chest and taking some big circles in your knees, pulling them in and pressing out to either side. Reversing the circles. And holding them in tight. Extending the left leg as you hold the right knee or right toe for a twist. For a super fancy twist, bending the bottom knee and reaching for the back foot. Gently returning to center and switching sides. Left leg extends, option to reach for the right foot behind your back. Gently returning to center, rolling out the ankles. Pulling knees to chest and giving yourself a big hug in for all that hard work. That is all for the front splits video. Keep stretching. Consistency is key here. I hope you all enjoyed. Namaste.